Hey everybody! I've never made a blood sausage. In fact, I've never even tasted a blood sausage because it's banned in the US. But all that changes today because I just slaughtered my own hog and I don't like anything going to waste. So today I'm making this traditional black pudding that I sure hope I love. So let's get started. I'm gonna keep this recipe as basic as I can. There are a lot of different varieties of blood sausages out there, but most of them are gonna have some parts that might be very difficult to source if you don't have your own hog. Even finding the blood can be very difficult, but I have seen this at one of my local Asian markets and I think one of the Latin markets as well. Not sure of the legality of that, but that might be a place you want to start looking if you're interested in making this sausage. So you'll notice right away that blood is not one of the main ingredients. This sausage is mainly grain, and that is going to be flavored with blood and fortified with a lot of fat. So what I've got here is 600 grams of cooked pearled barley, and this is 300 grams of steel-cut oats, and these have not been cooked yet, as you can see, quite dry still. And right here, I've got 400 grams of some pristine and luxurious back fat from that hog we just slaughtered. I got a bunch of this stuff, and I am so excited to use it. And finally, we have our blood. And this is 500 milliliters of fresh pork blood. And I sure hope I don't get demonetized for pushing banned substances on the channel. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is to dice up the fat into some little itty-bitty cubes. And some of those I'm going to blend with the rest of the stuff, but others I'm going to hold off because I don't want to beat up those little chunks too bad. I want to see them in the finished sausage. I'll make these like little 1/8 of an inch cubes, somewhere around there. Not gonna worry too much about getting them all the same. And this was a little bit frozen when I got started here, but it is pure fat, so it thawed out pretty quickly. It would be much easier to do this if I just pop this back in the freezer for another half hour or so, but it's getting late and it's a work night. Ooh, that is like nature's Jergens. I'm not gonna be able to snap my fingers for a week. Somebody should have tossed Thanos some back fat after he got all those infinity stones. Now let's take a look at how we're gonna flavor this sausage. And of course, we're gonna need some salt. So this is 42 grams of plain salt. I've got 100 grams of fresh, finely diced onion. That should add a nice punch to this. And now for spices, we're gonna be leaning into those warm, aromatic spices. So I've got 4 grams of coriander. This is 2 grams of white pepper, 2 grams of allspice, and this is just a tiny bit, about 1/2 gram of some star anise. So that's really strong stuff, so I'm just gonna use a little bit of that. And these are all freshly ground, so they are really aromatic and they're gonna be really flavorful. If you're using some stuff that's been on the shelf for a little while, you're probably gonna wanna bump these amounts a little, maybe by about 20–25%. Just use your smeller. I'm going to get started by pulsing these oats just a little bit so they're not quite so coarse. That's going to have to do. Alright, let's start putting this together. And hopefully I can get it all in one batch here. Put barley down in there. I'll go ahead and put in about half of that back fat. I forgot that we're going to use some flour for binder. So this is 100 grams of plain flour. Onions. Ooh, we are filling up quick. I think we're going to be all right though, just barely. Salt. All of our spices. Ooh. I'm going to knock that down just a little bit. Make a little bit of space. That didn't help. Now let's go in with the blood. Smells alright. Looks pretty gory though. Let me stir the rest of these fat bits in here really well. It does kind of look like fruity cottage cheese. We're just about ready to stuff this one up. Oh, that is beautiful. You can use natural casings for this, but I'm going to be using these fibrous casings that I use for summer sausages and other such things. I couldn't find the actual black pudding casings around here because that's just not a thing around here. But these should do just fine, and these are just going to take a quick dip in some water just to soften them up a little bit. And we're going to go old school today with the old hand stuffer. And I am all out of rubber gloves, so this is going to be kind of a horror show. Alright, here we go. If you've never used one of these hand stuffers, very easy. Got one kind of flared in here, that's for loading it up. And you'll take your casing and just slide it down over the other end. Get rid of some of that excess water. Now, we'll trim that off of there. And now, of course, I'll give this a good rinse before I cook it. Alright, we're going to be cooking these in the circulator today. I've got this set to 160 degrees Fahrenheit. And I guess these are going to take 2 hours in here, but you can go 3 hours, 3.5. It's not going to matter because the bath is set to the temperature that I want these to be finished at. You could do this on the stovetop as well, and there you're going to want to heat some water to probably between 175 and 180. Get them in there. They're probably going to take around 45 minutes to poach, and what you're looking for is an internal temperature of 160 degrees Fahrenheit.
1, 2, 3.
Should be good to go. Now they are feeling firm. We'll get a quick temperature reading, even though these have been in here quite a while. I think we're good to go, and I'm going to get these cooling off quickly. Down here is some cold water. And to be honest, when you cook them in a water bath that's set to the temp, you don't actually have to get them into an ice bath or a cold water bath, because there's not going to be any carryover cooking. But if you're doing this on the stovetop, you definitely want to get them chilled in an ice bath just as quick as possible. Oh, I don't have any ice, so I'm just going to run some cold water over these for a few minutes. Then I'll hang them up to dry and cool all the way down. Then we can try these guys out. There we go, all cooled down, and we're ready to take a look inside. I'll say that looks pretty cool. The grain of this sausage is mostly grain, but you can see those juicy fat bits in there, and coming off of that hog that we raised, those things should be so good. It's really more of a brick red than black. Now I am pretty excited to crisp some of this up and try it out. Now that's looking black. Smells really nice and meaty. Well, let's give this a try. Check out that bite. That's got a nice texture. I like that. It's a little bit reminiscent of scrapple, and I do love some scrapple. Note to self, make scrapple. But it doesn't have any of that scrapple funkiness. This is a real heartiness to it. It's very savory, and I'm much more of a savory breakfast guy than a sweet breakfast guy. And all the grain in there, that's gonna make for a nice burst of carb energy to get your day going. It's kind of difficult to explain as a first timer, but I kind of can think of this as a reverse veggie burger. As if the veggie burger had preceded the meat burger, and this was invented as an alternative rather than the other way around, if you can follow that logic. I like this a lot, and I love having another way to get the most out of the hog. And now I can make a proper full English without stooping to the level of a sausage smuggler. That's great stuff. I'm so glad I made this. And if you get an opportunity, I hope you try it too, and I hope you love it. Thanks for watching.